Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's Monopoly time, Jay. And not the classic board game everyone hates.
Yeah, I don't like that game either.
It's awful.
I played it way too much of it as a child, and I wish I didn't. But
It's funny when people come in asking me, they're like, do you have Monopoly? And I say...
You're like, why?
No, but we have games that are fun.
Yeah,
here.
right. Yeah.
So I wanted to specifically talk about, because if you go back on our channel and watch, there's a couple of videos about like ASMODEE recently, and we're talking about how they've been talking about acquiring companies, and then now how they have physically started to gobble up, cool mean or not, cherry picking the things they want.
I mean, for us,
the rest.
For us, it was like perfect timing, because we said a thing and then it happened. So.
Just oracles,
It's
That's
nice.
all I can say.
It's always good.
And in that video I made, I think it was yesterday even, but it wouldn't be yesterday in this video, it would be a couple of days ago. I was alluding to talking about how it is very fascinating how ASMODEE and Games Workshop are achieving similar results, but they're going about things in completely different ways. And I thought it might be a fun video to discuss that. So ASMODEE is doing the classic venture capitalist thing that you see kind of in normal industries, right? So like, what's a good example? Like in the tech world or whatever, essentially they're and it's not to say that they're, go ahead.
Yeah, you buy up like, you're essentially buying out your competition and buying up intellectual property that you can then, you're buying like literal entire markets of things from smaller companies.
and doing it in the way that's the most beneficial, which is essentially like wait for those products to be fully developed, show that they're successful, and then wait for like the chink in the armor for that company where they're like weak all of a sudden and they need to sell it, and so they're buying these like fully finished things that they know that they can keep selling without having to invest any sort of like
well, it does two things. It does one or two things. One, it folds them into their own brand, and then they get to sell the thing that they didn't have to develop. Or they literally kill a competitive thing that they now don't have to.
Because sometimes they just like can shelve it and be like, yeah, we have this, but we're not going to actually sell it, and now we don't have to worry about market competition, right? And you see that all the time.
Yeah. Now, something I know, because there was commenters being like, well, but ASMODEE's like, they're in debt and stuff. I think you need to go reread the details of what exactly happened there. Sure, they were saddled with $1 billion, but the reason that happened is this is just classic, like, what do you call it? Like super rich company things where they move money around to make things, either pay less taxes here or make the numbers look better for a different reason, and so their stock doesn't crash. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into it like full details, but it was like done on purpose for a reason. And the other reason they gave them that chunk of debt is that the company easily makes that money and can pay that, service that debt, no problem. And and because of their like robust, like how well they do, just like in like again, everything's a cash flow related to cash flow. They can also borrow a ton of money that they need to buy. Let's say in this case, buy the zombicide or whatever. They don't even have to have that money. They could just, the bank looks at their like, oh, you guys make this much profit every year, and Oh, sure, like you can have more money. Like,
and not exactly, really well said. And not just that. It's just it's when you just look at that, you're looking at like one side of the equation. Like you said, you have to look at assets. You have to look at revenue and profit, and without looking at the full picture, you're not really getting an idea of what's actually happening, right? And like you said so well. It has a lot to do with actually, like you said, not wanting to pay, tax on all this earnings and revenue all the time. If you have more debt that you have to service, then you can avoid paying some of that corporate tax and all that stuff, right? So a lot of it is just like corporate ninjutsu or whatever to kind of avoid that sort of thing. But also, they have a ton of assets. This is why they're doing fine. Like they own distribution companies, they own. Really successful board game licenses,
market share,
huge market share. So we have ASMODEE, and then we have Games Workshop, which is not the classic company. They're more of like a Lego, right? Like they are the company that has found something they do really well. And instead of like buying out other people that do similar things, they just keep putting the money back into their own engine. Expanding themselves and like becoming obviously vertically integrated. They've been for many years, and using that success to keep pushing out and out and out themselves. And the way that they kind of become monopolistic in a way is essentially by pushing other things off the shelf.
Oh, sure.
Right? It's a more indirect kind of like way of doing things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not like so here in the shop, like even in the last, 5 years, they're not like, I'm not getting a call and saying, "Oh, hey, do you want the new 40K release? Okay, but you got to go kill Marvel if you want the new," they're not saying that. They're just saying, "Here's the new thing. Look how popular it is and exciting it is. And we're going to keep adding more games. We're going to add Old World. We're going to add Imperial. We're going to keep adding things. And you don't have to buy them by, if you don't, you're probably an idiot or whatever, like, because they're all doing super well."
Yeah.
And so just by that nature alone, it is like we have to find, the store doesn't get bigger exponentially, so we have to like slowly find space for it. And then so when we do, we look at charts and numbers and be like, well, this doesn't sell very well anymore. And it's usually like a non-GW game, so then I end up just like slowly liquidating that out to make more room for their thing. So if they really wanted to take over the entire store quickly, they would just continuously release new 40K armies. Like if they just
that and well, and we've talked about this before on the channel, so you can go back and watch some videos on this topic. But like, I would say that their market acquisition money. So the money, for example, like Asmodee would use to like acquire a new company. Like every company that's big like that has like funds that they could allocate to that. GW's market acquisition money is actually, in my opinion, the money they spend on their specialist game range. Yeah. Because that money says to me, instead of being like used for like, oh, look how good Infinity's doing, we should buy that.
Yeah.
It says, let's make a game like that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That takes up
Kill Team
the same space on the shelf.
Yeah.
That directly competes with that product in the store, but it's a Games Workshop product, so it's already going to be adopted by more stores.
Yeah.
And let's just subtly try and push it away and kind of pillow it that way, right? Yes. And they have countless games and examples like that that they've released over the last 35 years that do that. I think in the 90s, I don't think it was intentional like that. It was more like they had this like fun game studio, and all these guys loved to make these passion projects, and they had these wonderful ideas, and they made some phenomenal things in those years. Now when they re-release them, I think it is a little bit more market acquisition, where they're like, okay, let's go kill that market with this game and become a permanent fixture in a store, and kind of blot out the sun there a little bit, right? So it's maybe even more cynical than Asmodee in some ways, because like you're literally like you're going for the jugular a little bit. It's just not seen that way, so it seems nice. Oh great, they're putting out this game I love again. I love that game. I love Kill Team, it's great. But I used to play Infinity. Oh yeah, but this has 40K models and it's a skirmish game, and you're like, oh shit, okay, I get you, Games Workshop, I see what you're up to.
No, that's true. That's true. They just if you keep releasing these, I mean, and some of them don't always work out super well, but the attempt is there. So, Underworlds is the attempt at a card game, a TCG, basically that blends miniatures. Imperialis is like it's the little scale market, and there's people that play the whatever stuff in the like Drop Zone or the like Flames of War or whatever. They'll like that. Yeah, it's all done on purpose. To varying degrees. I think it's a little different with GW. It's not like you said, literally rolling in and being like, "How you doing? Oh, you need some money." Although you know what, we said this in a previous thing, is I wouldn't be too surprised if that does happen a little bit more in the future. Like I think they're a little more. They'll probably be a little more targeted with it. I think, find more things that synergize better, but I wouldn't be surprised if they, bought out something here and there. They have a lot of cash.
I agree, but I think to them in their brains, I think at this point is they just keep seeing like look how much growth we're getting. We're not done growing yet.
Yeah.
And I think very reasonably, like they're gonna look probably at the globe, and be like, until we've saturated it to the point where we're content, and we've grown the brand to the point where it's like we're getting there. But like, until they've done that, I think their focus is going to be on just that. Sure. And then I think you're right. I think when you it's sort of like the country that's like you've expanded to your border, and then you've kind of hit the border, and you're like oh, we need more space or whatever. It's like terrifying, right?
Yeah. Well, they actually, it came to my mind. I forgot. They have been quietly doing like BCP, Best Coast.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
They've looked at certain things and they said, "Oh, we should buy this."
And they've been specifically so far, at least, all to do with people doing stuff with their product, like the BCPs, the artists, and the guys like making videos and stuff. That's been something
all the content
they've been bringing them in and whatever, and being like, no, you do this for us now, or we give you this,
or we stop giving, or you have to cease and desist. No, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, they're gonna.
Why isn't the Baron running their dice production facility?
Maybe it's a matter of time. Maybe it's a matter of time before the Baron is a Games Workshop property. I don't know.
But so you have two companies that are achieving similar results in their fields right now, and it's just interesting to see like. The strategies are very different.
Yeah, like you said though, Asmodee's like it's just like a much bigger, I don't know, thing. Like it's like just a bigger umbrella or bigger thing.
Yeah,
it's just so many more.
Well, and they're all over the place, right? Like they have miniatures. They have like board games, huge in the board game world. They have trading card games. Yeah, like it's they're quietly saturating everywhere, and people don't even realize it because it's not like Asmodee's on every package. Like
no
GW, it's you notice when it's big.
Yeah, because it only comes from them. Whereas these guys are just like, I'm gonna own this board game property and this thing. Yeah, at some point their little logo will be on every box on the wall. And they probably won't, but they're probably damn close. They could probably open a store full of just their things easily. And
they had stores in Europe,
right?
They did, yeah. I don't know if they still do.
Whether they're going to do that,
but Asmodee definitely had board game stores in Europe. Yeah,
I mean, the way here is in Canada in a way. Like, there's not as many smaller market, not as many giant distributors, etc. Like, you could feasibly have a store that's like, just their stuff, or half GW and half that, which is kind of what we are, except for all the paints and stuff we sell, but because we have some like boutique things there, but generally, So
how long do you foresee before these two giants are starting to like? Because I would say like so far it's kind of like a peaceful coexistence. You know what I mean? Like not that like games don't compete with each other. It's not like Star Wars minis and Marvel minis don't compete with like the GW minis. Of course they do, but like there is enough space in stores to like peacefully coexist at this point.
I think it would be difficult for Asmodee because GW is like so specific. It's a bit like they can make their own minis and they're like pretty decent. Mm-hmm. But they're like, it's like one company has always been like the miniature thing, and they've been like I mean everyone compares to the standard that they do or whatever, right? Like,
they're so incredibly specialized.
They're like so specialized and they have all the know-how and the equipment and the vertical integration and all that. So like for Asmodee to actually compete there, they would have to make like such a massive investment that it may not be worth it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're almost like happy to just like be like
own the entire board game world.
Like, exactly. Like it's like they probably look at like demographics and customers, and they're like, well, we can make a ton of money off like the casual people and well, they showed us those charts. They have names for the different customer types, and what is it? You have like so the ones that are like the fans, so the ones that are like the smallest pie, that are the like that buy the expensive crunchy board games and the limited edition this and that,
like the trading card games
and the trading card games. It's actually like a very tiny percentage of their revenue. It's like 5% or something, maybe 10. Like it's small. And then meanwhile the casual, like the family board games and the kids and aunts and uncles, it's like 80% of their, but whatever it is, like a massive chunk. And I feel like most of Games Workshop business is more fan-centric. It's like the whole, like, you want to go after those, it's going to cost you like 80% of the money to make this extra 20% basically. And I think they're happy to be like, you know what, we're competing in this space. We have great licenses and minis, and we make some money off of that, and it's great. And it allows them to coexist in a store like ours. And they actually get like significant wall space because they have a miniature game, but ultimately like,
and they get to sell, and Asmodee gets to sell to everybody else, like you said. Like they sell to everyone. They sell to mom, dad, grandma, little Timmy, little 5-year-old Timmy. Like they're selling to every demographic, every market, and they're probably pretty happy with that. So
they're thrilled with that. Yeah, they would probably rather me ordering, to be honest, from a margins and a and a healthy business, they'd much rather me be buying lots more board games and TCGs and stuff off of them on a regular basis anyway than their miniatures. I'm sure they're like, yeah, that's bonus. I think, you know, whatever.
What do you guys think? How have your interactions been with both companies? Where do you see these two companies going in the future? And do you agree, like, the you know, how different they're set up and how similar the results are based on what you've seen in your own local hobby shops? Let us know in the comments. If you like these kind of videos, give us a subscribe. We appreciate it. And you can check out our second channel that we just started a few weeks ago. Go over there and subscribe to that. That would help us out a bunch. It's called the Lords of War Hobby Channel. And we're doing all sorts of demos and sort of like painting things, and you can see what Jay and I are working on every month. It's just a generally more pleasant atmosphere. So go check that out. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can also check us out on Patreon, and you can interact with us more there if you become a member. And we answer questions about the industry, and we'll even take video topic suggestions from you. So check that out. Thanks. We appreciate it. Bye.